kitchen and garden. This is the second take for this vlog, as I did it once and when I got home all the footage was out of focus. So I've come back over to film it, but I did film it about 4 days ago, and I've also filmed a couple more vlogs since. So the difference in this vlog will be that the broad beans have been taken out, and in my next vlog I'll be harvesting the broad beans, which is why that might not make any sense, because chronologically this is meant to be my June plot tour, or veggie plot tour. And I'm going to stop waffling now and let's go and have a look at what's going on. We'll start off by the asparagus patch, because that's kind of the start of the veggie plot. And all my asparagus has come up apart from one here. And I'm not sure if I might have had an asparagus spike and I pulled it out the other day when I was weeding, because believe me, this patch was not looking weed free like it is now. It was absolutely atrocious. And up here, this is the asparagus that I transplanted this end, so I'm very happy to see the new growth come in, which gives me hope that they'll keep on going, and I didn't do any harm in transplanting them. And just another view from this side. So I'm really pleased that they've all taken, and like I said, I didn't keep on top of the weeds like I should have, but hopefully I will now. Moving on from the asparagus bed, I've got 2 pepper and bean beds here. My pepper plants, well, I wasn't very sure whether they were going to be okay, because the bottom leaves have gone awfully like lime greeny, but they are producing fruit, and the new growth is very green, so I was pleased with that. You can sort of see the difference between the 2 leaves, but since they got in the ground they've just shot on. And here are my beans. Down this end are Bellotti beans. I had very poor germination with my beans this year, so I've got 4 Bellotti bean plants and they are growing nicely now in the ground. And I've got runner beans up here, and these I bought from the garden centre the other day, because I just had no luck with chitting any. So these ones on the end, there's 2 on the end, and those are my own from saved seed. If I come to this bed here, I've got tomatoes in the front with some marigolds or calendula in the middle, just to ward off the nasties. And at the back I've got some leeks. Now I'm not sure if leeks and tomatoes are good bedfellows. I was originally going to put 3 rows of tomato plants in, but I thought if I put the 2, there's better air circulation for them. So that's what I did there. If we come this side of this bed, here are my sugar snap peas, which I'm very happy with this year. And those are green Hurst shaft, or Hurst green shaft, and they are just beginning to pod up now, so I'm very happy with those. In this bed I've got my dwarf French beans and my sweet corn. Now I didn't plant any squashes here. If you've heard of the 3 sisters method, you know what I'm going on about, as the Native Americans used to grow corn, beans and squash all in the same bed. The theory was they would help each other out, but in this case they've argued and one sister's taken a ball and gone up the other end of the allotment. So it's just the green beans the dwarf green beans and the sweet corn, and they've grown a lot since we had some warm sunny weather lately. And in this bed I've got more peas. These are Calabra, and they are beginning to pod up as well, so really pleased to have peas this year, as the last 2 years I kept forgetting I planted them out as strong sturdy plants, and then I forgot to net them and the birds got them. So this is the first real harvest of peas I'll be having this year. Let's pan over to here. These are Celeriac. I've got 2 beds of Celeriac. This may look like a lot of Celeriac, but I haven't grown any celery this year. It just takes too long to prep it in the kitchen, to clean everything and then put it in the freezer. I'd rather go and play with my children. So I decided to grow Celeriac as a replacement for the celery, and I'll just dice it and use it in soups and stews. And they are beginning to bulb up, so they're looking good. They like the mulch by the look of it. They are flying along since I've mulched that. I haven't mulched the sweet corn, as I heard on Gardener's Question Time, which is a podcast I follow. Never mulch your sweet corn. So there's my tip of the day for you. Do not mulch sweet corn. If we come over to here, this is my lettuce bed. Down this end is the cut and come again lettuce, and up here is the lettuce head essentially, but a lot of that is bolting now and will probably go to feed my chickens and my neighbours' rabbits. Now this is where my broad beans were, and what will go in there are some more leeks, as I've got a fair few leeks to put in there. This bed is my parsnip bed. Now the parsnip that is growing really well, but I did have very poor germination, and I re-sowed. I put down some seed sowing compost in like a drill, and sowed the parsnip into that, and it has taken, and I just now need to thin it out a bit. As usual, they either don't grow or you get a big clump of them. And this in the next row here, which is looking really spindly at the moment, that was looking not as luscious as this, but maybe it had more of that sort of growth, because it was my neighbour's parsnip that he pulled out when he was thinning his parsnip, and he said, did I want to plant it? And because I didn't have very good germination, I thought, well, I might as well give it a go, as a lot of this bed was empty. So in between the rows that I planted, I've now planted some parsnip from, well, that would have been chucked away. So they say you can't transplant parsnip. Well, we'll see how this parsnip turns out. So if I come round to here, this is the other side of the pea bed where I've got my Swiss chard, and some of it is beginning to bolt now, which is to be expected with this heat. It doesn't like the heat. It's more of a winter veg, winter and spring. So, but I'm still getting a good harvest from that every week. And if we come round to here, I've got my carrots, Nantis 5 here in this line, then some spring onions, then some round carrots, and then some multi-sown beetroot, then some heritage carrots, and then more multi-sown beetroot, and up there is some golden beetroot. That's all looking good. And if I come round to here, this is my second bed of Swiss chard, which I harvested the other day, A lot of that did bolt, so I might take that up and put some turnips in its place. And again, up here is more beetroot, which I've taken quite a big harvest from, but there's more now to come and to be harvested. Those are the leeks I talked about previously, and this bed here is an identical bed. It's got tomatoes and leeks in it, but it was planted slightly later, so the tomatoes are not so well established yet. Up here where the blank soil is, I had my garlic up the top, which I harvested, which hasn't been very good. I left it in too long and it's rotted off. And my red onions were here, but they have bolted. They were the red onions from Set, which I sowed over the winter. And here are some white onions, but this is terribly weedy and it does need a weed. But this is how the asparagus was. Well, the asparagus was far worse than this, and that bed over there was also as weedy as this, but that is the onions that I grew myself from seed, and so far there's only a couple that have bolted, so they are looking okay at the moment. If I come down this end, you can see I've made a start on weeding, and these are my shallots. As we come to my first brassica bed, got some broccoli heads forming in the middle, but I think I need to harvest them because they look like they're just going over now. So maybe I'll come over tomorrow and harvest them. And the cabbages are hearting up slowly but surely. If I come round here, you can see one there. That's probably ready, and there are a few in this bed that are definitely ready. Again, yeah, there's broccoli that's gone. I don't know what it is with my broccoli. I seem to turn my back and it's bolted before I know it. Another good cabbage there and there. And the cauliflowers that I planted down this area, they didn't do very well at all. They all rotted off except this one up here. That is my one attempt at cauli, which I think I need to harvest pretty soon, as it looks like it's turning to. As we come to the bottom end of my plot, this is a bed in progress. I brought my crates over here where my carrots are going to go eventually. I need to get a wriggle on with sorting out that. And if we come over here, my courgettes have now made it into the ground and they are beginning to produce some fruit. I've got 3 courgette plants, which is a bit excessive, but well, you know what it's like. You grow them and then you can't chuck them in the bin, so I just put them in the ground, and I'll feed the village on the courgettes. I've got Turk's turban squashes here. Again, not as many as I would have liked. I had poor germination. And these 2 here are butternut squash. Now these are my big pumpkins this end, which one is, well, 2 are forming there. This is 100 weight. I've not tried this variety before, but these 2 plants at the end are racer, which I've grown for the past 2 years, and I've always been very happy with the racer pumpkins, and there's a fruit forming on that one. If you've watched any of my previous vlogs, you'll have seen me planting out this sweet corn. This variety is called Swift, and again it's planted with the dwarf French beans, And I got tiny cucumber, which I'm not holding out much hope, to be honest, but I do. I'll keep it going, we'll see. You never know with these plants, do you? And along there is an awful lot of tomato plants. This bed is fairly new in. I planted this up the other night and I cleared it. It was looking like that bed there, which is where my purple sprouting broccoli is going to go once I've cleared that. So there's swede here, and then I've got sprouts in here, and then in the next cloche is my kale, and then on this side those are Bellotti beans or Bellotti beans. They are Dwarf Bellotti beans, and along here are the Dwarf French beans. So thank you for joining me for my tour today. There's a lot going on, but there's still so much more to do, and I'm off on holiday soon, so I'm really hoping it's going to rain when I'm away. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to get on with planting out these Bellotti beans now, and I'll catch you in the next vlog, which is the next one and the next one and the one after that, as I've already filmed the other two. So I'll catch you later anyway. That was a very convoluted goodbye, wasn't it? Lovely job!